To get provocative results that sustain themselves, all that you need to do is quit trying so hard and be more like Elon Musk. You see, both you and Elon can't sustain results when you're pushing yourself because everybody eventually runs out of willpower and gets burnt out. Sometimes, even when you've successfully delivered a project, it falls apart the second you stop working on it because no one was prepared to work as hard as you were. Musk and his team, on the other hand, seem to have an infinite supply of willpower because they're actually doing the things they want to be doing. Musk is able to achieve so much more of his time because his actions are always in alignment with others and therefore he doesn't need to keep pushing people. Let me share with you some of what the latest research has to say. At the moment, 1 in 5 Australians every year has to take a day off on accounts of stress, and half of Australians think that their workplace is mentally unhealthy. At these workplaces, half of Australians have to have 1 day off a year because of stress and anxiety. This costs Australian businesses $10.9 billion a year in lost productivity. And that's really just the tip of the iceberg, because even when a stressed worker is at work, they're not really performing to their potential. Actually, only 13% of us feel engaged at work, and this is especially important because these are the only people who are prepared to doing better every year. To add insult to injury, the real cost of replacing a lost employee is 2.5 times their annual salary. This means if you lose an employee who's productive and being paid $55,000 a year, it'll cost you $122,500 before you're back to a similar level of productivity. The evidence is overwhelming that pushing yourself hard at work not only fails to deliver sustainable results, but it's actually also destructive. So how does Elon do it? Well, he just copied other great leaders like Steve Jobs and Richard Branson, and the good news is you can just copy him. I like to call it 4 simple steps to taking action, and it's awareness, acceptance, alignment, and then action. When starting any new work or with any work that you're doing, always become as aware of the issues as possible by looking at as much data and interviewing all of the relevant stakeholders. When interviewing people, it's important to listen deeply and drop any preconceived ideas you might have, which is the heart of step 2. Step 2 is accepting things the way that they are. We all like to exaggerate our own good while covering up our own bad, and we usually only remember the bad things other people have done. Accepting ugly data can be painful, but it's the only place from which you'll be able to find an opportunity which people are aligned with working on, which is step 3. Instead of pushing people and giving people incentives to work with you, just project a vision of the future that they're excited by, that they want to work on. That's really all a great leader ever does anyway before taking action. Step 4. When taking action, always choose the action right now that'll make you feel triumphant. We often act out of a place of fear, and when we've stuffed something up, we like to conceal the evidence. This actually enslaves us to our problem because we have to continually work hard to cover up our past problems. Coming clean takes a lot of courage, but will make you feel immediately triumphant because at the very least you'll know that you've done the right thing, but you'll usually be rewarded with the opportunity to try again. That's all Elon Musk did with Tesla. He was aware that consumers wanted a more green personal mode of transport, but also that current technology was really lagging. He accepted that it was going to cost him a lot to develop batteries to the place they needed to be, and that oil companies were still receiving large subsidies for their products. He found alignment when he realized that the most ambitious dreams of his design team gave him heaps of excitement and that there was a high-end discerning consumer out there who would want this product. And so he created a sexy, fast rocket and electric sports car instead of a daggy green machine. Finally, he kept taking actions until he got to the end of the project by choosing the ones that made him feel like a conqueror in the moment. Really, it feels the same to start a new project as it does to get provocative results at work. First, you become aware that there's something you want to move towards. Then you accept that you really know very little about it and your skill set is currently lagging and you have a lot of hurdles ahead of you. But you find alignment when you realize a goal that you can't resist, and so you keep taking actions until you get there. It's likely that as I was going through these 4 areas, you would have thought that yes, there's sometimes in our organization we actually do hide our evidence, and we're not very good at getting aligned on projects, and when it comes to taking action, we often buckle under the pressure. So if that's the case, I encourage you to focus on one of the 4 areas that excites you most and try to look at things a little bit differently. It's likely that you'll struggle when it comes to taking action, as I find that that's when most people have difficulty. And that's why I have one more thing to share with you. My name is Joseph Andrin, and I host a workshop called Triumphant Action that equips people with skills and techniques that they need so that they can remain clear and focused and choose the right action in any moment to increase their own productivity and look after their well-being. I host it for small teams, departments, and even small organizations, and I do it for free, working on a freemium model like Google, because I like to get the opportunity for us to get to know each other before choosing to work together. If you're interested to learn any more, please visit the Changeworthy website now and complete a simple, no obligation form, and it'll only take you a few seconds. While you're there, you can also check out our latest video, which covers the #1 reason that projects fail and what you can do about it when your projects become derailed. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to connecting with you. Let's shift forward together.